Hey guys, this is Miko, and I decided I'm not going to actively play during this one, but I decided, considering how bad this run was in general, I was looking back and seeing all the stuff I failed, and man, there was a lot of stuff I failed, some of which I would normally capture as well. So what I've decided to do is I decided to abuse the fact that the spell practice is here. I never said this before, and I just assumed that people could read this screen here and see, oh hey, there's spell practice. So you can go ahead, you can use any character you choose, you can go to a stage, you can practice any spell card that you have come across. Doesn't matter who you have played it with, so long as you have played it. Then you can select it with any character. Like, I've never used Yomu, but I can access the cards with Yomu. So it's pretty good. I'm not going to directly show off spell practice, because what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to show off replays. Specifically replays of the spells that I failed, of course. So yes, let's just get started. So the first one, of course, I failed. This wasn't on purpose fail, really, because as I said, Yuyuko's final card is not difficult at all. I mostly just want to bring this one up because if you do capture this one, do note that the fan is not a hitbox. I don't really show it off too much here, but you can see the bullets are just going straight. If you're very good with vision, you'll see the bullets are just going straight through her fan, so it's not a hitbox. That's basically all I wanted to show there. Some of these I did time out instead of regular old capture stuff. I timed this one out because there's no reason I should ever fail this. I failed it way more often than I should. I've timed it out a couple of times actually, that's why the record is 1 in 8. By the way, this is my normal save file because this is on my desktop. I played most of these on my desktop. Go figure, even though it's widescreen and all of that. There is no reason to ever fail this except for the fact that pill bullets have got giant hitboxes. But when you're down here, if you're actually paying attention, it's really not hard at all. Just for some reason I can't pay attention very well in this attack, but it's, yeah, there's not that much density to it, so I don't understand. Yeah, that's basically it. If you stay down the bottom, it's a lot easier to dodge than at the top, but obviously you want to get spirits in the first wave, so yeah, that's generally it. Which is the next one? The next one, is it 30? I think it's 30. Which would be, yes, Kyouko's third attack. This one, I think what it is that you're supposed to lure it maybe into the corners themselves as opposed to just the edge of the screen. But it also depends a little bit on Kyouko's movement. As you see, even here, it still didn't pick up half the bullets there. It didn't completely wall me like it did during the LP, but it didn't give me very nice formations here. Every single dodge wave that I had to do was difficult. And that's not always the case. A lot of the time it just picks up the bullets for you and it's fine. But sometimes it does that, and it's pretty mean when it does so. The next one is actually a timeout as well. I wanted to show off Kogassa's spell card because I never got to show that. If you're playing on normal, this is actually a non-spell instead of a spell, so that's kind of interesting. And no matter where you are in relation to Kogassa, she always rotates it in this same anti-clockwise formation thing. It's exactly the same as her non-spell that way actually, it's always anti-clockwise, which makes it kind of interesting, but at the same time in a normal run you'll want to kill this as fast as you can so that you get the resource stuff behind her. So it's an unfortunately placed card that it will probably never see the light in a serious at 1cc run, unless you're trying for no bomb, no tran stuff, but that would be crazy, right? Nah, totally doable, you've just got to know the game a bit more. But yep, that's her spell card, very rainbowy, very rainbow-y as you would expect. So there you go. The next one is actually spell practice number 40. This is Poison Rays, or Poison Murder when you play on Hard and Lunatic. I timed this one out. It took me a few goes to time it out, and I think I got sort of lucky formations here, but basically the idea behind this is that there is a distinct sort of opening. It's hard to say, but you know, each sort of folding thing is made up of 4 kunais, and I like to stay in the middle, going from left to right. I like to stay in the middle of the second and third kunai, or is it third and fourth sometimes in the wave, but If you stay in the middle of the unfolding thing, it tends to work out better. I don't always stay in it depends where the widest gaps are. If Yoshika moves down the screen though, this becomes rather difficult to avoid because the kunais are placed with respect to where she is, rather than with respect to where you are. So it can be tricky to avoid, but usually it's okay. The background makes it a bit hard to see some of the bullets sometimes though. The next one is Yoshika's third card. I wanted to actually capture this, and freaking hell, the number of tries this took is legit. That is 45 attempts to capture this card. It's very difficult to capture at the best of times because it's got so much health thanks to the regen stuff. And really, it's very difficult to force your way through the kunais on Lunatic. It's even harder to force your way through the curvy lasers with their weird hitboxes. And it's actually very hard to damage Yoshika enough even when you collect all the spirits because her healing is ridiculously powerful when it's on Lunatic. I actually missed collecting most of the spirits there, so I thought I was going to fail this time as well. But thankfully, she didn't get a chance to absorb them that particular round before she died, so I managed to get it cleared. Luckily. The next one is actually going to be a full replay, and I guess I should maybe not replay the stage as well, but I'm going to because I can. I did a lot of practice stuff with Marisa. The LP was supposed to be done with Marisa in the end, but I haven't yet cleared the game in one continue with Marisa, and I'm just not quite consistent enough to get a run going yet. I also can't do Miko to save my life, but then I can't do Miko anyway, so there we go. Yes, that is basically my principle here. I'm still not quite quick enough for you. If you want to get the 4 fairies to appear there, go unfocus with Marisa. Her spread will usually take care of the small fairies, the auxiliary ones, and you can focus on the resource gathering ones with your central attack. That's how it works. But the stage strategy is exactly the same as I used with Reimu. I didn't change my trance strategies or anything with Reimu as opposed to Marisa, and that sort of bit me in the ass a little bit because Marisa's trance is amazingly powerful, and I forgot in my Masters of Practices with Marisa, I kind of forgot that Marisa's trance is that's an emergency vehicle. There we go. Marisa's trance is so much better than Reimu's in terms of damage output, and I forget this sometimes. So that bomb at the end of this stage and the bomb in stage 5, I forget that Reimu's trance is so much weaker than Marisa's, so I expect her to be able to do the same amount of damage as Marisa does. And so that happens. And then this bit, as I said, the transition here is horrible, but you want to do most of this unfocused pretty much regardless of the character you're using, because unfocused shots have got the biggest spread, and Marisa's spread especially is very useful for this stuff, because although I don't quite capture it here, mostly vertical movement is what you need to do with this bit, to be honest, and I moved a little bit too much horizontally, far too much horizontally there, and I just had to death bomb instead. But yes, that is essentially what happens. But Marisa's spread will take care of most of the smaller fairies quite easily. Those lasers are quite powerful at taking out tiny fairies, because the tiny fairies don't have much HP in the first place. So yeah, that is a good thing. But that is only the minor attraction because I actually managed to perfect the Seiga fight. I don't know how, but I managed to. Yeah, I think the key thing is not to move too much horizontally there because it looks like the pill bullets are aimed at you. So that's what really threw me in the LP, is I was trying to move too much aim to dodge the kunais, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't avoid a wall because I moved so much. It's a crazy situation, but it's just something you've got to have a handle on, really, and that's something I've only worked out recently, is why it does that. And so I've still got to do more practice if I want to clear it accurately. If you do kill Yoshika during this, then Seiga starts doing her first non-spell trick again, and it's kind of a bit crazy, because Yoshika also fires a ring of red circles when she wakes up, so it's pretty tough. I got extremely lucky here, I reckon. You're supposed to probably force your way upwards through the kunais, but good luck doing that, seriously. An alternate strategy, I think, is to what Robin was attempting to learn is to go into the corners and sort of dodge above Yoshika as she's going down with her kunais. But then you do pretty much no damage to Seiga, and it's really hard to do. Yeah, I couldn't get much damage off on Seiga there. That sort of sucked, but it's okay. Kind of luring Yoshika up the screen a fair bit and then going down to kick her ass again. She isn't too difficult to take care of most of the time, but on Lunatic you've got to sort of lure her up a little bit as well, because she moves too fast. The higher the difficulty, the faster Yoshika moves, so bear that in mind. Went right around the world there, that was kind of crazy. Then this last non-spell, as I've said before, is sort of a mix between focus and unfocused dodging, focusing a bit more on the focus stuff. Yeah, you want to be able to look at where the kunais are in respect to everything as well, because you need to know when you have to stay away from a corner because Yoshika is going to murder you for it. There we go. The last card, as I think I said before, it's not too hard, for some reason I'm really terrible at it. I think what it is actually looking at it is that I've only just noticed in watching these replays that Yoshika actually moves across the screen, which is interesting. And sometimes the bubbles don't, the anti-bubbles don't actually move properly with you. I don't know, they don't aim at you very well sometimes. Anyway, I have to do this here because the game will actually crash if I let the replay run completely, because it sort of does that. I skipped the text at the end and maybe that's enough to make it crash. Who knows? What are we on now? We are on stage 5. What spell starts stage 5? Is it 50 something? I don't even remember. I think this is one of your Seiga's ones actually, isn't it? Yes, it's one of Seiga's ones. It'll be Seiga's last one. Probably proving that you can actually stay in the center of that if you're good enough. So that would mean the first one would be spell number 62 then. Yes, because it has 3 versions. Only Easy doesn't have a version of this card. It isn't too hard until you get to Lunatic. On Lunatic, it's not that it moves too much, it's that those bronze arrows there, I think I probably mentioned this in the LP video as well, but these bronze arrows end up moving very, very weirdly compared to everything else. They are in some sort of stationary pattern and they sort of arc down very much horizontally. They don't move very much vertically. Well, in comparison, they tend to move across the screen a lot. I really should have timed that one out. It's not too bad. But oh well, it doesn't matter. This video is going to be long enough anyway. So that leaves up to spell number 66, which is Futo's first attack. Lure it up the screen if you can, because yeah, if you stay above her in that first wave, she goes up the screen, and I think the higher you can stay up the screen, the higher she stays up the screen. Because if she goes too low down the screen, this becomes pretty well impossible. I think I got lucky doing this, because this was my first attempt, actually. I tried 17 times before in previous goes and didn't, on this save file and didn't capture it. But this was my first attempt at, but capturing for a replay, and it actually worked. So that was pretty cool. The next one then would be spell number 74. I timed this one out because I could. This is her third spell card. This is not a very good demonstration of how you're supposed to do this one, actually. Really, if you can stay under Futo, this is done in about 2 waves, which is really good, but ideally you're not supposed to stay down the bottom of the screen here. I did some crazy dodging stuff here. If you can stay not too far under where the yellow wave or the orange wave starts, then that's the sort of ideal height to anticipate stuff, because then you can move down and dodge down as well. So I'm way too low down the screen to make this easy on myself here, but I got sort of lucky with the way things turned out, and it was okay. You've got to really watch this card though, because the bullets have got such a flashy hitbox, such a flashy thing here, that it's really tough to see sometimes where they're actually going, and they overlap each other, and it's ugly, and I really don't like it. But that is that. Next spell card would be 82, because it's 2 spell cards on. It is Miko's first card. I timed this one out as well. It's not too hard. Especially if you're using Reimu, you can do this before the second wave even starts properly. You know, if you can stay underneath her for the entire duration, needles are so powerful they will kill her before this wave descends on you very much. So really, I just got unlucky with it. But to time it out is a whole different story, because you've got to go through several more waves of this, and it is random, so it is a little bit luck-based as to how it goes. And I think the arrows do speed up a little bit as well, if I'm looking at it right. Yeah, well, maybe they do, or maybe they just have that speed to start with, and really they don't technically speed up, it's just that the ones at the top have got a faster speed than the ones at the bottom. So you actually look at it as if it's speeding up. It almost reminds me of one of Yomu's attacks, actually. Yomu's last card had the similar sort of idea of random direction arrowheads, I suppose, or I'm still going to call them arrows because I can, right? So yeah. The next one is spell card number 90, which is the third attack. This one you really have to have a massively good game plan for. I think the idea is that you're supposed to lure them to the sides or up top. Basically try and lure the guys, lure Futo and Seiga to one side so that you can try and stay under Miko as much as possible. It is not easy, but if you can stay under it, then it goes away before it gets too dense. And that's basically how to capture it. I've only recently worked that out because I couldn't even do that card on normal. It was such a terrible thing. I don't know, I hate that one so much. Anyway, the next one is actually going to be done with Sanae as opposed to Reimu, because this is who I have the replay for. Sanae is probably the most difficult one outside of... Well, maybe Yomu's the hardest one to capture this with, I don't know, but I don't play with Yomu, so because I can't use charge shots, so there we go. This attack is just pure random. I think there's maybe some sort of like deviance thing that's like maybe the amulets are not actually that random, but I don't know. It's always looked pure random to me, and I can guarantee you the laser positions and width between them are definitely random. And so whether you capture this card or not is almost entirely dependent on luck. You have to have insane ability at the time to actually capitalize on the luck that you get given, but it's pretty much luck. And this Sanae run, it wasn't actually that kind to me, although Sanae is slightly wider spread than the other two characters, kind of gave me a bit more opportunity to take it out. I have a replay with Marisa as well. I think it's not there. Where is the Marisa replay? Am I just like staring at it and I can't see it? Yeah, it's down the bottom here. I actually have one from this too. I got a lot luckier during this one. I can capture it a bit more often with Marisa than Sanae because, yeah, that was a legit capture try thing, by the way. It legitimately took me about 45 goes to capture it. It's ridiculous. But I capture it a little bit more with Marisa simply because Marisa's power is a bit higher when she does manage to stay under Miko, so there we go. But even with Marisa, it takes so long to capture this. Even with Reimu, it takes so long if you can stay under it. It's at least 30 seconds if you manage to stay under it at all times, but you can see I got lucky and I got a really wide gap here, so I can stay under Miko for a long time, get a lot of stuff off of it. Thank God Miko doesn't move though, that would make this card even worse, but still, it's ugly as it is, and there we go. Got the capture. It took me a lot of time to get that, in-game time as well, just ridiculous. So then the final spell is quite literally the final spell of the main game, is this one, clearly enough, Newborn Divine Spirit. I'm not going to show the extra stage fail ones because I've already shown like timeouts and whatnot of them on the channel as it is. So go look up the Mamizo video thing that I did before if you want to see them, I suppose. This attack is really not that hard for a final attack. I'm just very, very bad at the blue phase. Very bad at it. It's all about misdirection because of course the circles are all aimed at you, so that's fine. But I think in this bit what you really want to do is you want to dash up and down the screen as fast as you can, get yourself as big a space as possible, occasionally move into the sides if you have to, so that you can get around stuff and do something like that. It doesn't last very long, but the time that it lasts is very difficult to deal with, I find. Maybe that's just me, but that's how it goes. So, hopefully you have enjoyed or possibly learned something from this. I'm not going to go back and do the non-spell stuff, because of course you need to do stage practice once for that, and really, I pretty much cleared almost all of the non-spells that I can regularly clear anyway. The only exceptions would be, let's see, Kyouko's first non-spell I didn't get. Yoshika's third non-spell I just tranced, but really, it's alright, I can normally do that one, so that's okay. Futo's second I can't do to save my life. I've shown off Seiga's non-spells because I managed to. And then most of Miko's ones, I actually managed to do pretty much all the ones that I could regularly do anyway, so I can't do the second one, and I can sometimes do the third one, but not often, because I'm just not very good at seeing the slightly bigger picture from it. So, I think that's it. So that was basically just me demonstrating what I had failed during the game itself. So hopefully you enjoyed it.